It's day 5 and semi-final Saturday here at Henley Royal Regatta. It's a time when the racing reaches fever pitch and the social side of what is one of the highlights of the British summer season really comes into its own. Well, no one does al fresco dining quite like this. The pre-race picnics are a massive part of Henley, and they're certainly picnics with flair. We're talking crystal glasses, china plates, delicious looking spreads and plenty of champagne. But when the racing starts, this place will be deserted. No one wants to miss out on some of those key head-to-head clashes that are synonymous with this time, this part of the event. And this morning was no different.
As we're at the start now for the Temple Challenge Cup, University of Washington, United States of America versus Durham University A.
Go!
So Durham University, lovely picture of those blades locking in the water, and the crew's looking like they're slightly coming together as Durham are getting pushed off their station. You can imagine they're going to catch that headwind which has pushed them away here. Matthew Pinson poised to grab a flag and wave it, but as it is, he doesn't look like he's quite going to do it. Here he goes. This will be asking Durham to move back to their station, and I'm sure they made that correction. I think they're making it already, but it was important that he made sure they did do it. If they'd gone any further, it would have been trouble. But a brave start now from these Durham boys. Good start here, getting up to, what's that, about a canvas early on.
Fast and furious starts here in the A. It's incredible how quiet it is up at the start line. And then these 8, so much noise. It's an explosion of noise and fury off the starting blocks, and we can see all this white water around because it is tough conditions. It is bouncy water out there. You can see the flags flying. So this is going to be a fast and furious race all the way down the track.
Again, umpire Matthew Pinson there is going to have to be thinking about whether he needs to ask the crews to make a move. But I think for now, none of them are actually infringing. They're more or less on their own stations. If they clash, it's their own fault.
Still looks like about a 3/4 length lead to the University of Washington in that crew. Maxwell Hyde, Harry Hall, Harry Fitzpatrick, Pablo Matan, Robert Plimer, Niels Vorberg, Blake Bradshaw, Quinn Cooney and Zach Kasler as the coxswain. Currently leading Durham University A as we see them come back towards Washington, really struggling with their steering down the course in these gusty conditions. It is tough out there.
Certainly is, and we see, yes, Oscar Mulvin in the coxswain seat of the Durham crew being asked to keep his boat back on that Buckinghamshire station to the left of our picture. I think actually the Washington crew has done a really good job, certainly in the eyes of Matthew Pinson, of not being bang on their station, just being, as we can see it, almost sort of a third of the way across, so that their puddles are still going towards Durham, and they've kept a very straight line. Durham have tended to sort of bounce in and out a little bit as we see them now coming in. What have we got? Coming into our site of the commentary box. Probably only about 10 strokes to go, and Washington looking pretty good here, Sarah.
Washington now still maintaining a 3/4 length lead. They're coming up towards the finish line here. There is not enough time for Durham to turn this around. It is going to be the University of Washington as they power down to the line in the Temple Challenge Cup. They'll be moving through to the final tomorrow.
Yes, a fantastic controlled race from Washington University as we see confirmation there in the Temple, the win for Washington over Durham University A.
Now, one event that has provided some outstanding rowing throughout the week has been the newly renamed Prince Philip Challenge Trophy. The closely fought battles and sheer determination shown by these women's crews has been more than a fitting tribute to the late Duke of Edinburgh, and this morning's semis didn't disappoint.
In the Prince Philip Challenge Cup, it's Surbiton High School versus St Catherine's School, Australia.
Brilliant to have these schoolgirl 8s at such a high standard in this event with Sarah Winklis umpiring them. Is this the best we've got from Australia? Up against one of the very best from Great Britain, Surbiton High School on the left. It was a swift start. As soon as those hands went down, they've been sat with the blades square in the water as we see a furious, ferocious start from both the crews. Looking at the St Catherine's girls, they're really going for it, Sarah.
They are absolutely hammering it there. We can see in the stroke seat, Bronte Cullen absolutely driving her crew out of the blocks. They would know that this is going to be the key. I can't quite remember, but I think it might have been Surbiton that knocked out Melbourne Girls Grammar School the other day. That may or may not be correct, but I think from memory that's what happened. And the Melbourne Girls Grammar and St Cat's crews have really been very close throughout the season, less than a second separating them for most of the regatta. So if this crew beat MGGS, then St Cat's is going to have a very tough time today.
Well, let's see how they're going to go. That ferocious start from the crew from St Catherine's have got them a small lead at the top of the island. But now the crews are going to need to be settling into some kind of sustainable pace. But this is a match race as we have a look. A real good pull on the finish from Bronte Cullen in the stroke seat, backed up by all of her crew. They're really looking to make every stroke count. Good, strong body leans, really throwing their bodies into the second half of the stroke. Probably quite effective in this headwind.
Look at these girls from St Cat's. They are stepping up a notch. They're going again. They're putting in open water now. They are moving to a length lead. As they come past the stewards' enclosure, we can hear the crowd going wild. What a race this is in the Junior Women's 8. What an event this has been to add to the program.
Well, this camera position is showing us where the finish line is. You can see it's now only a few strokes to go for St Catherine's, and they have ripped it out along the stewards' enclosure. They stepped up when they got to the enclosure. They knew that Surbiton might have more to throw at them, but here they go across the line. What a fantastic race for St Catherine's School from Australia, coming across the line from this brave school from Surbiton High. This brave race they've put on, but confirmation there of that result in the Prince Philip. The win for St Catherine's over Surbiton High.
The Prince Philip Challenge Trophy. Henley Rowing Club, top of your picture. Berkshire Station. Winter Park Crew USA, nearest the camera. A good way to finish the morning programme then. Off they go, these junior women's 8s. The Americans on the right-hand side of your picture, trying to stay as tight to Temple Island as they can. And they're doing battle with Henley Rowing Club, who will know this stretch of water so well. Their clubhouse just a couple of 100 metres behind us. And Mark, what are your early thoughts on that start from both boats?
Yeah, both crews off cleanly, which is really important. Henley have not been a really explosive crew during the. I haven't really seen them lead off. They've been a real intense crew in the middle part of the race, and it's going to be really interesting how they cope with this, because I think the American crew is going to, as they have done right now, take that early advantage and try and open up that gap.
Yeah, so clear the game plan from Winter Park Crew USA, trying to bolt early, and that is good work from them. To the right of your picture, you can see they've taken up a half-length lead. Now, what will Henley Rowing Club do? With very young athletes here, there's a danger that they might panic, might change up the game.
I think they're a real class at this Henley crew. To be honest, where I've seen them race during the regatta, they haven't been that exposed at the blocks. They don't seem to take the lead. They get into their rhythm and just really kind of drill other crews during that middle phase. So it'd be really interesting whether that goes to form guide now, or this crew from the US really stamps their mark on now and just keeps moving out.
Well, it's a late show from Henley Rowing Club. Have they left it too late? Have they got enough in the tank to get themselves past Winter Park Crew from Florida? It's hotting up this race, the last race before lunch on semi-finals day, the Prince Philip Challenge Trophy. And we're watching Henley Rowing Club trying to power their way back in past the American crew on the Buck Station. The Buck Station, which the Florida 8 have left on a couple of occasions, but they might have done just enough here, half a length, and extending through the last 10 strokes. And it looks like it'll be victory for Winter Park Crew USA, despite a couple of steering issues and Henley throwing everything they can at them. It's getting very, very tight. Last couple of strokes, some anxious looks across, but Winter Park Crew have done enough. Half a length victory for them in the Prince Philip Challenge Trophy semi-final. Henley Rowing Club, they just grounded out all the way down the course, hoping to capitalise, hoping to catch them. But Winter Park Crew with a really sparky start and hanging on well.
Welcome back to day 5 at Henley Royal Regatta. As you can see, the fashionistas are braving the British weather. It's been intermittent showers throughout the day. For the men, it's the obligatory blazer and tie, and for the ladies, despite the Brodley's been up at the moment, it's still floaty summer dresses, vibrant colours and trouser suits. The rain's not dampening anyone's spirits, and as we know, it never stops play out on the river.
Queen Mother Challenge Cup, Leander and Tideway Scullers, the British quad on the left of our picture and the Chinese national rowing team on the right. First round of this open men's quad sculls.
Look how quick and sharp that start was from that Chinese crew. We're seeing here the British crew, Tideway Scullers and Leander Club, really strong, really well timed together. They're looking focused. They look like those legs are really punching down well together. But that Chinese crew really flew off in those first few strokes and looked to have maybe just taken an early lead there at a slightly higher rate to the British crew.
Well, in both crews, in fact, Zoe, what we've got is crew changes, tinkering with the combinations as you go through the season towards the World Championships. Both the Chinese and the British are doing that. Henley's an excellent testing ground to see whether that combination you've put together can be even faster. And that's one of the arts of coaching a squad when you're doing an international team, is getting the right athletes in the right order, in the right boat, and that does take some tuning. You can't just do that with the data, but look at this, we've got a real race on our hands according to the marker there. Chinese about a quarter of a length up on Leander, but it's still everything to play for. And they have to push now. This is a really, really close race, about 300 metres remaining.
Yeah, look at this. The Chinese have raised their rate again. They are getting in a few extra strokes per minute. But that British crew, you can see their bows just picking up through the water as they come down. But I don't know, have they left it too late? At the moment, it looks like the Chinese just about have control of this race. But it is going to be all to play for now as they come up to the progress boards in this semi-final of the Queen Mother.
Well, Leander have got probably half a length of work to do in the last 10 strokes. It's going to be a tall order. Have they got any other gears to deploy here? The Chinese confident through the race, raising their rate of striking as well to respond to the final push by the Leander and Tideway Scullers British crew on the right of the picture. But it's going to be China's day. Leander lose the chance to put their name on that trophy for a 12th time in 12th time in 13 years, but the Chinese very, very impressive through that in the Queen Mother Challenge Cup.
On day 4, we focused on the overseas presence here, but of course there's a plethora of home teams looking for their share of the silverware, and there was no doubt who the local crowd were rooting for.
Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup, King's College School against St Paul's School, junior men's 8 semi-final stay at Henley.
Fast start there from both crews. You can really see just how those blades flash in and out. A little bit untidier perhaps in St Paul's. Neat crew there from King's School Wimbledon. But we will see now as the crews come out to the end of the island how they fared in that fast and furious start.
Yeah, fascinated to see how this one pans out. Not sure we've really seen King's School Wimbledon tested yet. They had Canford on Tuesday, beaten them easily. Dulwich on Wednesday, beaten them easily. And yesterday, Woodrow Wilson High School from the USA beat them by 4 lengths. So we've not really seen King's Wimbledon tested. On the other side of the draw, here's St Paul's School getting off to a pretty strong start. Maybe a bit less tidy than some of the St Paul's crews we've seen in recent years, Zoe, but this is a young crew. 2 16-year-olds in the stern, a 15-year-old, Alp Cadogan sitting at the 5 Street seat there, so this is a new crew, the beginning perhaps of a new era for St Paul's. Let's see how it pans out. The young stern pair, Philip Wolfensberger and Felix Peerless in the stern of the St Paul's crew, have to respond. Now you can do it in 2 ways. You can hold and be calm and confident and wait until that push has had its time and then respond, and maybe that's what's happening now.
Yeah, and it looks like also potentially an added issue of the 2 crews just coming together a bit there. Looks like both crews sneaking into mutual water. Maybe St Paul's just moving back. No warnings yet from the umpire, just about keeping those blades apart.
Yeah, there we go. The yellow flag goes down at Fawley. That is 10:47 metres into the course. 9 metres later is the exact halfway mark. King's School Wimbledon still leading in this race. St Paul's on the left of the picture, well, they're responding. And I think that's one of the ways you do eights racing. I think I like to feel if the other crew's pushing, to just hold, try not to let them get too much. Then once they've come through their push and they're maybe feeling a little bit tired, that's the time you really want to attack and surprise them when they haven't got the opportunity to respond. They've burned a bit more energy, they're trying to recover from the push. That's the time to try and attack. Let's see if St Paul's can do that. The 3/4 mile signal goes past and we can see, well, it's about a third of a length advantage to King's Wimbledon. A bit hard to judge from this angle, but the official on the course there can see exactly what's going on.
St Paul's have some momentum here. Are they going to be able to pull back level with King's?
So Zoe, you are one of our most experienced and successful coxes. Imagine you're sitting there in James Trotman's seat in the St Paul's Cruise. What are you saying now?
I'm saying, boys, you keep doing what you are doing. Don't change anything. We have got this. We can move through. Keep this, keep together, keep moving. That's what you've got to do at this point. And this is like we were saying, eights versus singles. This is where you do it for the men sitting in front of you and behind you. This is where you move for your team.
So it's totally different psychologically, but we see the mile and the eighth mark on the left of your picture. Lane 2 for the first time is hoisted first, which says that St Paul's through King's Wimbledon. They're through by, well, it looks like quarter of a length according to the marker. It looks like the Fleur Blaze in the King's Wimbledon crew is having a bit more trouble with the steering than St Paul's. It might be the wind that's blowing her around.
Yeah, just that crew from King's Wimbledon, like you said, Matt, just started to sort of skew across the course there. Look how much St Paul's have moved now through King's Wimbledon. These 9 men here versus 8 men and 1 young woman from King's. They have absolutely put themselves on the edge here to get back in contention and through King's Wimbledon.
Tom Monaghan, Sam Scowen, Tom Corbett, Nicholas Oldroyd, Kevin Googleman, Zach Day, Ben Lundy and Alex Forbes Cox by Fleur Blaze in the King's College School on the far side. But it's St Paul's here, and great victory. Amazing junior men's eights racing. For Bradley and for Eton, semi-final of the Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup. Both these crews desperate to put their names on the final and on the trophy. Bradley for the first time in some years. Eton under pressure to follow in the puddles of their predecessors in recent years. Eton have got a huge record recently in this event, so it's theirs to lose, it's Radley's to win. What's going to happen?
It is. It looks like Eton have gone off, I would say, with more power. But this, both crews are absolutely going hell for leather out the blocks. There's a lot of history at stake. There'll be a lot from the clubs, from the parents, from the alumni watching these races, urging these young men on to make history this year. Can Eton win it 3 times in a row? They've won the last 2. They have never won it 3 times in a row. They are going out at the moment and looking like they want to make that history theirs. They have got a convincing lead coming out of the island.
So, as you said earlier, Kath, yesterday we had Radley against Shrewsbury, 153 to the barrier, and yesterday Eton were racing King's Chester. It'll be easily, but also 153 to the barrier. So you might have thought, and the barrier about 637 metres down the track, the first timing marker, you might have thought it would be a bit closer at this stage. But maybe Eton have got a little bit more variety in their race plans. They've got the opportunity to go a bit faster even than they needed to yesterday. Perhaps a bit more confidence in that young crew. And the markers there showing it is, well, 2/3, 3/4 of a length difference. The angle's a bit deceptive here, but I think Radley are still moving on Eton.
So they're in touch and they were down, so they will feel that they've got momentum with them, and the thing now is to keep going, to build on that further. We're now testing the strength of the winter rowing. We're now testing the strengths of the technique. We're testing the minds, the wills of these incredible young athletes. They will have so many old boys on the banks cheering them. They will have so many alumni who will have sent them messages of support. They are coming up, they're attacking. There's still a real solidity, though, in that Eton stroke.
Yeah, Joseph Olagundoy at stroke, 18 years old, setting a lovely rhythm for Eton. The question for him and Saxon Stacey sitting behind him in the stroke and 7 seats is, can they lift the rest of their crew? Have they got an extra gear with which to respond to this Radley push? We've not really seen Eton tested on the Henley track at all. Well, they're being tested now.
They certainly are. This is exactly what we love to see in the Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup. They are testing each other. They are going into uncharted territory now. Neither has had this much pressure on them, and Radley have the momentum. You can feel it in the boat. The heads are up. They are urging each other on. They're attacking and attacking again. They have a moment here. This is their moment, and they are seizing it in that Radley crew. They're giving everything. It's a little ragged, but they are attacking.
Well, listen to the roar of the crowd. You can see the spectators waving, urging them on, shaking their fists. It's absolutely neck and neck. It's going to be who gets the most strokes in the last 5 or 6 strokes available. Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup produces amazing racing. Keep your heads in your boats, young men. Just get as many strokes in as you can before the line. Who is it going to be? It's Radley. Radley upsetting Eton, pushing them out of the final. They thought they had their name on it. Arms held aloft in the 6th seat by Cameron Tasker, declaring victory for Radley.
Well, despite a slightly soggy end, there really has been a fantastic atmosphere here today. These bars will be busy late into the evening, but for those who are through to the all-important finals tomorrow, their celebrations will have to wait. The climax to this bumper 6-day event will kick off tomorrow at 11 a.m. and as always, we'll be bringing you every race live. We'll see you then.